Okay, now we're getting started. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. I'm going to read off the script because I'm not good with these impromptu things. For joining us today for the 2012 Wnet Superlink. For those of you who may not know me, and I don't think there's too many of you, I have the privilege of serving as Wnet's Executive Director. In this role, I work on behalf of Wnet to help each of you get involved and make the most of your membership. Whew, out of breath. Please feel free to contact me anytime with questions. I do mean that. And I do get calls from you guys, and it means a lot to me for you to be involved. So call me at any time, because I want to make your membership a valuable one. I'd like to take a brief moment to say how much I appreciate, all of you that volunteer your time. And as I look around the room, there's an awful lot of you. Please know that you make a difference. It is now my great pleasure to introduce you to the dedicated group of women who lead Wnet, the 2012 Board of Directors. I ask that each woman present today please stand and remain standing as her name is called, and that all of you hold your applause until everyone has been recognized. Wnet's officers: Marla Knudsen, President; Patty Bankston, President-elect; Lisa Shipley, Treasurer; Linda Rossetti, Secretary; and Kim Fitzsimmons, immediate past president. Our directors: Gloria Colgan, Chris Lee, Peggy Olson, Chris Scappa, Mia Sherna, Stacia Smith, and Nikki Saris. And our founders, and those who made Wnet a reality: Diane Vogt-Farrow, Linda Perry, and Holly Targan. Please join me in thanking these women for their dedication and support. I'd also like everyone here today to take a moment to acknowledge the effort put in by the 2012 Program Planning Committee. Their hard work results in programs just like the one today and the Fall Superlink. I'm shamelessly plugging it. It's September 10th and 11th in Atlanta. The reception is on the 10th. The program is on the 11th. Please, please, please hold that date. If you'd like to get involved and on this committee, the Program Planning Committee, or any of the other Wnet committees, please let me know. As is true in life, you get out of something only what you're willing to put in. It is now my sincere pleasure to introduce you to one of these inspiring women. She is President, National Financial Institutions, Trans First, and a true believer in what we can and will do. Please welcome Wnet President Marla Knudsen.
Thank you, Ellen. I'm thrilled to be here today and with a room of so many high-achieving females. It's very exciting in so many ways. Last year, Wnet brought in over 150 members. We exceeded our conference attendance goals with unprecedented numbers and created many programs and provided additional services to you, our Wnet members. This year, we intend to do that and more by continuing to provide access to colleagues in the industry through our regional link events in New York, Atlanta, Chicago, Phoenix, Northern California, Texas, and new this year by hosting events in conjunction with industry events many of you already attend, such as the Southeast Acquirers Association that's just been happened, the Midwest Acquirers Association, and the Western States Acquirers Association. All this is in an effort to help you keep connected and broaden your network of colleagues throughout the industry. Wnet's mission is to inspire and empower women in the electronic transaction industry to maximize their individual potential and position themselves for greater personal success in more relevant and more important ways than ever. This goal begins with each of you, and it begins with all of us here today. To that end, I would like to echo Ellen's earlier plug by asking everyone to set aside September 10th and 11th for the Wnet Career and Leadership Summit in Atlanta. We already have several terrific speakers committed, and we're very excited about this event, which promises to be yet another great program that will enhance all of you in your personal and professional lives. So please join us and don't miss this great event. 2012 promises to bring even more new opportunities and in ways you can maximize the value of your membership. One of these will be the launch of a career center later this spring. This is to provide women in transition and those interested in exploring growth opportunities a vehicle to do so, and will provide companies in the payments industry easy access to the best and brightest candidates. The theme of our conference today, Networking in a Digital World, is not by coincidence. Our objective in selecting this topic is to provide the tools on how to best utilize social media to your advantage, both personally and professionally. We have invited 3 extraordinary women here to help us do just that. Mia Chernoff, Executive Vice President, Marketing at Chase Paymentech, Val Lasusa, CEO, SpiralWorks Marketing, and Diane Delinsky-Picker, founder of Mojo 40. You will find out more about them shortly. In the quest of getting WNet on the cyber map, we are creating a committee dedicated to furthering WNet's social network and media efforts. I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge Dana Barsis, Associate Director, Marketing Strategy at Toll Systems, who is leading the charge alongside Ellen in making WNet a must-go-to site for information. Dana, would you please stand up? Dana has spent many hours with Ellen getting us ready for this, and we really want to thank her for those efforts. Thanks, Dana. While we unite as women in the payment space, we are first and foremost women, and we would like for all of you to become more involved. If you'd like to find out ways in which you can become more involved, please stop by the registration area during break and talk to Dana. In my role as president of WNet this year, my primary goal is to actively engage each of you, WNet's members. I'd like to hear first and foremost about your WNet experiences. I'm asking for your feedback and suggestions. Whether you are a new member or a veteran to WNet, your suggestions count. For those of you whom I may not know, please introduce yourself and stop by to talk with me. I'm here to listen and absorb, and with your help, make WNet the best organization that it can be. On a personal note, my involvement in WNet has played a really significant role in my life, both personally and professionally. Being part of an organization solely dedicated to women, helping women grow and prosper, has been and will continue to be one of my greatest success stories as a female executive. I have one last request before, and I promise this is my last one, and that is to ask each of you to be an ambassador on behalf of WNet by reaching out to your colleagues and associates who are not currently members and helping them to join events and become members of WNet. WNet has made a difference in the lives of many of you sitting in this room, including myself, and let's help us brag a bit and help other women in our industry. And now I'd like to take a few moments to acknowledge our generous sponsors whose support is so critical to the success of this organization. I'd like to ask that all women present from these organizations please stand and stand remaining for the duration. Please join me in thanking today's Superlink sponsors, Discover, Moneris, and our media sponsors listed on the screen. You women from those organizations, please stand. Corporate gold sponsors, American Express and First Data. Please stand. Corporate silver sponsors, Chase Paymentech, Control Scan, Synergy Data, Discover, Global Payments, and PayPros. Corporate sponsor, Bronze, Epson, Sage Payment Solutions, TransFirst, Total Systems, Fairway Payments, FrontStream, and Priority Payments. We have sponsors who have already committed to this year's Career and Leadership Summit, noted on the last page of your program: Heartland, Discover, NPC, Racombo, and Veracity. Both Corporate and Career Leadership Summit sponsors are available, so if you're interested in getting your company's name front and center, please see Ellen for more details. Now it is my pleasure, and I'd like to ask Patty Bankston, President-elect and Co-Chair of the Program Planning Committee, to join me on stage to get this program started.
Thanks, Marla. It is an honor to be an officer of WNet and to be a member. and co-chair of the program planning committee with Stacia and the rest of the team. And the speakers joining us today really illustrate how Wnet takes great pride in staying relevant and providing a forum for education to our members. And it is with great pleasure that I introduce you to one of these women, a colleague on the Wnet Board of Directors, Mia Chernow. Mia's participation by assembling this dynamic group of speakers is an excellent example of what it means to pay it forward. And she told me not to go into her bio. However, I definitely think it's worthwhile. She's very accomplished and successful woman. She serves currently as Executive Vice President, Marketing and Strategic Initiatives for Chase Payment Tech, a division of JP Morgan Chase. In this role, she oversees the company's marketing initiatives, including digital media, alternative acquisition channels, strategy, product marketing, client outreach, employee programs, and I'm sure a lot more that's not listed. 20-year veteran of marketing and business management for global financial service and high-tech organizations, including Chase, Citibank, HP, and on and on. She was also been assigned to international posts in Mexico City and Jakarta, Indonesia, and London, England. So we are delighted to have her here today, and please extend a warm welcome to Mia Chernow.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everybody, and just give me a second as we switch over the slides. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I'm really thrilled to be here. It's great to see old friends and hopefully connect with some new people here as we talk about networking in the digital world. When Ellen Gallant asked me to present this topic here at Wnet, I thought to myself, well, I do digital marketing all day long. It's a real big part of my job. But digital networking, not so much. It's like the carpenter that has a leaky roof. I don't really do much for myself. But lucky for me, in my traditional networking, I have met a number of great people, including the two women who are sitting here, who are really the experts. So they will be spending most of the time this afternoon with us. But just to get things started, I'm going to kick it off by first introducing you to Valerie LaSousa. I actually go back 20 plus years with Valerie. We worked at Chase Manhattan together in the 80s in product marketing, and it was a pleasure to do business with her then, and through the years we remained in touch. She is now CEO of Spiral Marketing, which is a consultancy that helps companies large and small with strategic marketing, communications, and planning. And in that role, she's come up with the term trad digital, which is a combination of traditional and digital marketing, and she helps companies balance that. My other panelist today is Diane Dolinsky-Picard, and she's a journalist, a blogger, and an online maven. That's the way she describes herself. And she is founder of a company called Mojo 40, which helps women of all ages, but particularly women over 40, to energize their career. And I'm so happy they're here today with us. So I'm just going to set the stage a little bit and then turn it over to them. Okay, the basics, networking. If you're here today, you probably know the importance of networking. And this slide looks like it could be one of the Wnet networking events. It's kind of generic. But networking is so critical, increasingly critical, and it's a great catalyst for success in not only for career development, but in day-to-day business and in your personal life. And if you network well, your network will help you in all three. And you know, recently Newsweek magazine did a report on what it takes to be a great Fortune 500 CEO. And one of the questions were, you know, what are the three top things that really enabled you to achieve the CEO-ship of your company? And 80% of them had networking in the top three. So it was, you know, obviously the working hard, the business school that they attended, and then networking. So increasingly important. There's two other corollaries that are really worth noting because we tend to forget them. Networking is perpetual. You don't stop once you get that job or reach that CEO-ship. In fact, one of the most successful colleagues that I have is a top IT person at Goldman Sachs. And he really knows how to network. He has a trick that I try to use and doesn't always work in my hecticness, but sometimes even when his house is burning at Goldman Sachs on the IT side, he still finds 15 minutes per day to do a networking activity. It might be just sending an email or quickly having a phone call connecting people, but it's a great small thing that you could do every day, even if you start off with once a week. You know, it's a really good trick to keep that perpetual nature in your networking. And finally, and this is really critical, it's a mutual activity. You pay it forward, as was said earlier today. You network to help people so that you get it back from them. So very important. Now let's talk about the topic today, and that is digital networking. And you know, the last 3 years has been a real roller coaster in trying to keep up with all the different tools and the places online where you could digital network. But it's such, if you could harness this and just start engaging with the digital networking tools and opportunities, it's an amazing opportunity to accelerate that networking power because it eliminates the barriers of time and economics. You know, you can go to those networking meetings and conferences every day, and you will never reach the numbers of people and opportunities you can reach by coupling that with digital networking, because you reach thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people through digital marketing when you do it right. And you don't need those plane airfares. It's a very low-cost way to network. Now, more importantly, I think, than the numbers is the ability that digital networking has for you to facilitate the personal brand that you want to extend to the world, because you're in control. You are in control if you continuously nurture your digital network, but you really have that golden opportunity to extend what you want about yourself online, on mobile, and on social. So it's incredibly powerful if you dive into it. And we're going to talk about that today. The other thing about digital networking, it's becoming a requirement if you are in business. It's becoming a requirement no matter what you do, but if you're in business, your customers will be talking about digital marketing and digital media and digital networking. You should know about it. You may not want to be on Facebook in a big way, but you really should know the lingo, know what it's about, and be able to discuss it. And you know, in the academic world, digital is now replacing what has become traditional email and online websites. So it's really critical for us to at least know about it at a minimum. So I want to share with you a quick video just to get the juices rolling, to just kind of remind us how pervasive digital is.
Baba yetu yetu liye mbinguni yetu yetu amina. Baba yetu yetu liye jina lako litukuzwe. Baba yetu yetu liye mbinguni yetu yetu amina. Baba yetu yetu liye jina lako litukuzwe. Tupe leo chakula chetu tunachohitaji, utusamehe makosa yetu, kama nasi tunavyowasamehe waliotukosea, usitutie katika majaribu,
Okay. I love that video, and I'm glad you guys did too. That's actually about 6 months old, and I've seen it about 50 times, and I could still see it every day. But I actually brought this slide, which was produced very recently, actually about a month ago. It's another one of those things that astounds you when you read it. But they tracked a digital minute in the first quarter of 2012 and what it represents. And I know you can't see some of these numbers, but I pulled some out. Like in 1 minute, there are 6 million Facebook views, 2 million Google searches, 100,000 new tweets, and 60,000 hours of downloaded music. Music's downloaded within a minute, and it goes on, and it's just amazing. Again, powerful. You could really extend your reach. You know, it goes without saying. I'm sure you hear this every day, especially if you have teenagers at home. So, by the way, these slides will be available on the Wnet site, so don't worry about having to write anything down here. But without further ado, I want to get on with the panelists today and introduce them. I want to tell you a little bit about how we're structuring this. This is a two-parter, if you will. The first part is going to be defining the who and the what, because as I said earlier, you have an opportunity here to really extend the brand. You want everyone to know. You want to know who they are, who you are, and you have to really address that before you do anything else. So Vala Sousa will be walking us through that exercise. And then defining the how. Okay, you got your brand, then where do you go with it? So I'm going to have Val start off, and then we'll take it from there, and then we'll have a chance to do Q&A as well.
Is it on? Can everybody hear me? Okay, great. Okay, we're going to walk through a fun roadmap exercise this afternoon that I hope by the end of it will help you feel that you've built a stronger personal brand and have a more focused ability to focus your efforts both online and offline. So let's get this started. Let's do a show of hands. How many people in the audience feel that they have a digital online presence? It could be you're on Facebook or LinkedIn, you've explored Pinterest. Okay, that's what I thought. Everybody's pretty much playing in this digital sandbox in one way. Another show of hands. How many people think that they've really thought through their digital presence, their footprint, or are actively trying to increase their visibility online, either by blogging or self-publishing? A couple people? Okay, so we have some people that are really starting to get into it a little bit more. So while this might be familiar territory for some of you, I think it's really good to revisit the basics when things are changing so rapidly. We're going to go through the 3 components of a digital personal brand strategy roadmap. And they are your unique value proposition or your story, your goals, where do you want to focus your efforts both online and off, and your budget. What's the time, effort, and tactics that you're going to use to achieve your goals? So when I think of personal branding, one of the first people I thought about was Lady Gaga. Now, not everybody likes Lady Gaga. I happen to like her a lot. Her meat outfit may have been a little over the top for some. That's the little meat cap she's wearing in the far right corner at the Grammys. However, she is the first person on Facebook to have reached 10 million fans, her little monsters, as she likes to call them. She actually has 20 million Twitter followers. That is quite a digital presence. So the question becomes, how has she made that connection with so many people? What sets her apart? Because she's a great singer and songwriter and entertainer, but there's something else. And I think that something else is she has a great personal branding story to tell. She tells her fans, baby, you were born a star. And she's not afraid to be who she is and express herself. And she encourages her fans to do the same. So while we may not all aspire to have the same number of followers and fans as Lady Gaga, I think that we can still learn from what she does as well as the other big brands. So I'm going to do a little talk, a little few minutes on branding itself before we get into your roadmap exercise. When you see these logos and they popped up instantly, I bet that you can tell exactly what these companies do, who they are, what they sell, and how they're different from their competitors. And, oops, how did I do that? And I'd like to have you think about it for a minute. How do you know that? It's because they generally tell us, both online and off, what makes them different or unique from each other. They engage us. For example, I was in Puerto Rico a week ago, and I walked off the plane, and there was a big Coke sign in the airport that said, "Open a can of happiness." I said, okay. So, or for another example would be, they help us form emotional connections with them. I don't know if anybody's ever seen the ad where the woman has just completed eating a half a pint of ice cream, and she turns to her husband and says, "I'd do it again." Well, I happen to like that woman a lot, and I would do it again. So that's an emotional connection I formed to Haagen-Dazs right there. We know what brands stand for. Nike tells us to just do it, and we do. It's an inspiring message. Brands give us brand experiences. Has anybody walked into an Apple store? Okay. From the minute you walk in, from the Apple logo to the staff to the technology to the architecture, it's a brand experience in all 5 senses. So they engage us on a number of levels, whether it's emotional, whether it's physical, whether it's online. There's a number of places that they reach us, and they try and engage us and connect with us. So what does that have to do with personal branding? When you're doing personal networking, you're actually trying to connect with other people. And while you don't usually think of yourself this way, you are really the head marketer for your own personal brand. So now we're going to get into the fun part of you thinking about the components of your own personal brand strategy. And the first question that you generally start with, and this is kind of an exercise that I walk through clients with when I create marketing strategies, is what is your unique value proposition? It's also shorthand for UVP. It's really the short story about yourself. And it comes down to 3 essential questions. Who are you? What makes you unique? What do you do that adds value? And what are the results or benefits that you can point to? I think everybody has a pen and piece of paper in front of you. We're going to jot down a couple of things. I told you it was going to be kind of interactive at this point. So I just want you to think about this for a minute before we get into it. When you think about the question, who are you or what makes you unique? When you go to a networking event, what is generally the first thing that people ask you? What do you do, right? That's what they ask you? And what do you generally say? I think most people answer with their functional title. I'm so-and-so and I work at so-and-so. Mia introduced me as the CEO of Spiralworks Marketing, but that doesn't tell you a whole lot about me. So if I tell you that I help companies work with their marketing strategies and evolve to the next level, I've begun to brand myself. And she introduced Diane as the founder of Mojo 40. That doesn't tell you a lot about Diane. But if I tell you that Diane is intensely curious and she's an expert in digital media, I've begun to brand Diane. And do you know how I found that out? Because Diane told me. So now I've become a brand advocate for Diane, and that's how personal branding really works. You're extending what you say to somebody else, and in turn, they're going to brand you. So when we talk about this unique branding proposition, I want you to write down right now 3 key words that you think make you different or unique. Some characters or strengths, key strengths that you have. It could be, when you think about it, that your colleagues or customers may have said something about you, that you're a great team player, or that you're quick, or you're a savvy leader. Everybody got something? Or you need more time? Good? Okay, so now you've written down the 3 words. What I'd like you to do is turn to your neighbor, and you're going to introduce yourself and say the 3 words. So I'm Valerie, I'm creative, I'm strategic, I'm dynamic. Turn to your neighbor, pick somebody at your table, and share. If you don't have a partner, all right, ladies, we're going to have a lot more time. We're going to focus on the unique value proposition after. Wow, that was a lot of buzz. Okay, I think you have 3 words and more. All right, we're ready for the next step in developing your unique value proposition. It's the second question. And it is, what do you do that adds value? Or what specific skill sets do you have? Or problems do you solve? So I want to give you a couple of examples. One is that a big brand such as Google might say, I find what you want quicker. I have a friend who's a product analyst, a product manager, who's a whiz at analyzing customer data and finding opportunities to exploit. Take a minute to write down a special skill set or something that you do that adds value. Okay, does everybody have something? I think we're pretty close. So we're on to the third question that you answer when you're developing a unique value proposition. And it is, what benefits or results can you point to? So for example, it could be a visible project that you worked on, a successful marketing campaign, a major client deal. I recently completed a brand refresh project for a client that led to radically increased lead generation. So those are examples of trying to take something that you do, a result, and try and match it to your skill set or problems that you solve. Write down one benefit or result that you can think of. If you can't think of anything really fast, think about when you felt like you had a great experience at work and somebody said something to you about it. Okay. I think you now have, believe it or not, the essential components of your unique value proposition or your 30-second elevator speech. So when someone asks you what you do, you have a unique opportunity to brand yourself, to really register with the other person something that makes you different or unique, that they can really remember. So I think you're ready for the next stop on your personal brand roadmap journey, and that is your goals. It's important to have goals. When my clients have goals, they actually get the results that they seek. So I want you to think about, what goals do you have? What are you trying to achieve with your networking? Is it to get a new job, or to increase visibility in your company or your industry? For others, it might be money or power or fame or that 20% increase in your salary. Take a minute to write down 2 goals that you might have around networking or your career or personal. A concrete one would be, I'm going to put up my LinkedIn profile, or I'm going to tweak my unique value proposition, or I'm going to be a guest blogger. Okay, I think you're settled in for that one. Okay, last but not least is your budget. You have to have a personal brand strategy budget. And the reason is that, just like a corporate marketing manager, Mia has to work with the time and resources that she has and figure out what channels she wants to be in. So do you. The digital network is big and wild. So where are you going to put your time and energy? How much time and effort are you going to put into? What channels are you going to put them into? What organizations or people, so that you actually meet your goals? You've now set goals, you know where you're going. Now you want to match what you're doing, the tactics that you're using to achieve your goals. So to sum up, because now you've done all 3 circles, is basically to establish a personal brand strategy. It includes the who you are, your unique value proposition, the what, you're going to identify your goals and your focus, and the how, your time and effort and the tactics you're going to use to achieve your goals. So what are you waiting for? You're a brand manager. Lady Gaga would say, put your paws up. I say, put your brand up, baby, because you have a lot to say. So I'd like to say it's been my pleasure to speak with you this afternoon. If you have any questions on the break, please feel free to find me. And thank you very much. Speaking of someone with a lot to say, I'd like to have you help me welcome Diane Dolinsky-Picard, who has some great things to say about digital media.
How are you all doing out there? Energy? Everybody put up your hands and wave. Come on, come on. Shake your head. Okay, thank you. I'm speaking today about, I guess, can you all hear me? Yeah. Digital networking to get attention, career opportunities, and exposure. So think about whom you like to meet and how you can meet them. For example, are you going to directly reach out to them via email? Are you going to mine LinkedIn for your connections or the connections of your connections? Are you going to just attend events? These are all good strategies, but actually there are many more. You can publish your stuff to create a body of discoverable. Discoverable means when someone Googles something, they can find it. Discoverable content that presents you and your UVP. The internet has made publishing an open launching pad for your aspirational self, the person you want people to see. You can create a group, whether it's a meetup group, a Scribd Facebook group, a Google Plus Hangout group. You can launch a wiki in your workplace. In other words, I'm encouraging everyone to take initiative, to do something more, one little more step. I'm also a proponent of using what's already out there. So when you read a blog, you can comment on the blog. You can follow others. You can reply to them. You can share content. Okay, everybody, this is what you're not going to ever do again. Send a link in an email. That is so last century, okay? You want digital breadcrumbs and you want to get up and current, right? So we're going to go over how to do that, okay? The point is, if you're overwhelmed, this one's using Pinterest and that one's using Google+. That's not the thing to focus on. Don't focus on the sense of overwhelm and your fear. Focus on one little step that you can take. Okay, now I'm going to give you my personal philosophy. It doesn't matter if you have 1,000 Twitter followers, if they're all as passive as a divorced husband, okay? I mean, you need to know people through digital media. That is what it is all about, okay? So if you're just blobbing and not knowing people, it's like digital waterboarding. You know what I mean? You have to get to know them. So even if you have 15 followers, if you know them, you're using it in a smart way. And that's where your network value comes in, okay? I have done that for about 1.5 years as the founder of Mojo 40. A blog that helps you improve your digital profile, get with current trends in technology, and transition to growing areas. I specifically speak to people over 40 because we're not digital natives, but I can tell from the comments my audience is wide and varied. My expertise is offered freely on the web. I'm a big proponent. If you give it for free, it comes back many times over. So I'm going to launch into 10 best digital tactics, but I do encourage y'all, please connect with me on LinkedIn, on my blog, and so forth, if you feel at all inclined to continue the conversation. And then my overall point, do not squelch your natural curiosity because you don't want to look lame, okay? I have 3 teenagers, so excuse me, I do actually talk like this. Looking lame is not the end of the world. It happens in a second. You'll get over it. You can adjust. You can reinvent. You can change your profile. Just get out and do it. So let's get going. Okay, we're starting step 1, the very first thing, your digital signature, okay? I don't mean to promote myself, but in the interest of giving a concrete example, this is like a digital signature I use. That blinking red arrow is my unique value proposition. This is what I think is unique about me, my indefatigable creative energy. Okay? I mean, you may or may not like it, but I'm putting myself out there. I'm also a news reporter for Hulick.com, an online news site, so I want everybody who gets an email from me to know that. In fact, I put a link to my latest news article. And I even tell you my goal, so you can get on board my train, so we all get there together. Please help me reach 30,000 views. You can see up there I put the speech I'm making here. I put my last blog post, and down at the bottom I put my LinkedIn profile. Your signature won't be the same, but here's the point I'm serving up. Promote yourself. This is a great opportunity. You have so much to give. And not everybody's going to ask you 20 questions to hear what it is. Stick it on your email. And here's another thing. Do not forget to customize the signature that appears on your mobile as well. You do not need to be a walking advertisement for Verizon. They have an ad budget, right? You know, those things that come across as sent on the Verizon wireless. I mean, what's the point? I used to work with a woman. She customized the signature on her iPhone to say, sent by a creative director on her Star Trek communicator. You know, people start conversations over that. Okay, these are all basics. Everyone has a business card. But do not forget the human element. It says your name, your contact number, yada, yada. But make sure it has a tagline which will pique the human curiosity. I actually have different business cards for different hats I wear, but they all have a tagline like it says here, how to get your mojo back after 40. You know what? Some people think I'm selling sex toys. That's fine. We'll talk about sex toys. Okay, what happens in Las Vegas stays in Las Vegas. But it doesn't matter what the tagline is. It doesn't have to be perfect. But you want to get a conversation started. You don't want that business card to disappear in a Tupperware where they never take it out. The second point, I cannot emphasize enough, now we're all going to be working gals on digital networks. Do not be a light blue profile in a darker blue box. Nobody wants to talk to you. I'm telling you. You need to get a professional headshot, and you need to make sure wherever you're commenting and putting your stuff up, it's associated with your name in that headshot. So here's the tip. Go to gravatar.com. Decide what email you want to be associated with you when you're commenting. Upload your low-res headshot, and everywhere you put a comment, using that email, it'll automatically pull it in. So listen, if you're writing some private business and you don't want it associated with you, don't use that email, okay? You can just say, gal from Texas, okay? The point being, if you're putting digital breadcrumbs, people won't want to talk to you without a picture. You can actually see next to my name, I put something, blogger doing everything from writing and marketing. You can add words depending on the widget which is taking the comments, but at the very least, have a picture. Okay, the third thing is the Google Alerts for your name and brand. How many people have a Google Alert, by a show of hands, on their name? Okay, ladies, homework. I'm sorry to give you homework, but I was once a teacher. The point is you learn from experience. It's your best teacher. Everyone goes home, and I put a snapshot of what it means to create Google Alerts. Google.com/alerts. It's going to ask you how frequently do you want an alert, once a week, once a day, what words you want it on, so forth. You want to be sure to have an alert on your name. Then if you have a personal brand, you want to do that. If you're a product manager or you're working for your company in any way that you want to know what's happening, put an alert on the company brand. It doesn't help you that there's a PR department that knows what's being said. It helps you if you know what's being said. I wrote an article. I like to follow women entrepreneurs. So I wrote an article for my news site, 12 female entrepreneurs to watch in 2Q 2012. This is true. I come across a lot of people. I got about 6 thank yous on the email associated to say, thank you for mentioning me. I'm really honored. How nice to be on your list. Which tells me 6 people don't even know when they're being talked about on the web. So don't go to all this trouble and then not know when you get good publicity. Make sense? Okay, so we're going to start in, honestly, I could talk for hours. So I'm going to pick out some things that I think would be particularly useful for women in the payments industry, but feel free, again, to continue the conversation later. Let's start on LinkedIn, because there's no way around. That's the main professional networking site. This is a screenshot from my blog. It looks just like that. I have many posts on LinkedIn because it's a really crucial tool, but I picked one which says 6 reasons people fall asleep reading your LinkedIn profile. Okay. So here's the non-secret. Nobody likes dull stuff, okay? If it reads like a corporate brochure, it's dull, okay? Make it lively. I mean, I knew somebody once when she got out of Harvard and was job hunting, every single interview she got raised one sentence on her resume which said, my parents spent $100,000 to send me to college, but I didn't become a biochemist. She wasn't looking for biochemist jobs, but people remember that. So think about that when you write your LinkedIn profile. Now, I called this slide Headlines, Recommendations, Professional Pictures, Oh My. It is really important you give time to your profile, and these are the 3 things I think are key. Okay? First of all, your headline. Your headline is the only thing that recruiters see when they're searching on keywords. So it may be appropriate that your headline be your role, but do you know you can set your headline separately from your present job? Yes, you can. When I was job hunting, and I'm a digital marketer, I made my headline say this: Marketing Strategy and Tactics to Clobber Goliath. Why? I used to work for small companies. We were always chasing the bigger ones. Made me unique. Here's another thing. You can stick your location, whether it's Dallas or Portland or whatever, in your headline. Very few companies are willing to relocate you nowadays. So when they're looking on people in a geographic area. Another thing very important. Share your content to your LinkedIn profile. Share the things you like. It appears right below your headline for 7 days, and you get a triple whammy. It not only appears below your headline if anyone looks at your profile, it appears on the home page in a downward stream to all your connections, and it goes out once a week in LinkedIn updates to your connections. You're getting 3 for the price of 1. And if you didn't even bother to write anything, but there's an article on your subject that you want to be seen as an expertise on, you're now getting 3 times the exposure among hundreds of connections. So don't forget to share to your LinkedIn profile. I'll show you that button later. Give recommendations. You see, so important. Give recommendations and get recommendations, okay? What does it say about you if you've been working for 2 decades and you have 2 recommendations? Come on. I mean, people do this because they don't think about it, so let's be thoughtful. You have coworkers, you have clients, you have bosses. And give those people your unique value proposition so that they include it in their recommendation, right? If you have 14 recommendations and 10 of them go over the same unique value proposition, you will definitely create and substantiate what you want to be known for. And give recommendations. You do not need to be connected to someone. If you want to do a generous act spontaneously, go back in your work history, hit the recommend this person button, and go recommend people you worked with who really put forth effort. It will make them smile, and believe me, you will feel good about it too. Picture. Okay, I like to use funny pictures on my blog, and while we're looking at that, let me just point out something if you do feel inclined to take a look. The weakest part of my blog is understanding its structure. So right here on the purple bar, if you want to know where something is written on a topic, just type in the search word. That's sort of the search thing. Later on, if you want to know all the things it covers, you go down the elevator and there are categories. And you'll see I write about age concerns, small web marketing, LinkedIn tips, how to be an entrepreneur, how to interview well, all kinds of subjects. But the quickie is just go to the help bar. But I'd like to tell you a true story about pictures. So when my husband was 15 years old and he went to France as an exchange student, took tons of pictures, this is many years ago, and he brought them home, and nobody wanted to see any of those 499 pictures. What was the one picture everybody asked about? Was the picture of his host father, right? So this is natural human curiosity. If you don't have a picture on LinkedIn, and you were guys, I would say people don't think you're handsome. But it works for women too. If you don't have a picture on LinkedIn, people think the worst. So get a good picture, put it up there. Okay, a couple of other things, because I don't want to overdo you on LinkedIn here. Be sure that your roles are clear and they're using the skills and expertise section. I think you have up to 30-something things. But those are keywords, and those are what people search on when they want to find you. So make sure that part is filled out. Another thing, consider tying in your blog, your Twitter feed, anything like that. If you're not doing that, But there are other aspects of your professional career you can promote. You can put SlideShare on there if you're doing an internal presentation at your company. Upload it to SlideShare and add the SlideShare to your LinkedIn. You can put TripIt. So if you're traveling all over the place, put it on your profile. It makes you look accomplished. You can put Box, and we'll get to that later. You can put books you are reading, right? We're all lifelong learners. Put your books up there. I have met authors who followed me on Twitter after I wrote on my LinkedIn profile I was reading their book. Now they follow me on Twitter, I can direct message them. These are people I would have no chance of talking to, but they're following me. And I'd like to say, even for the person whose LinkedIn profile is fully filled out, you can still profitably spend an hour or two on LinkedIn a week doing other things. Writing stuff in groups, answering questions, we'll get to that. But our research shows actually 50% of the people on LinkedIn spend between 5 and 6 hours a week on it. It's got a lot there. Okay, my next tip is self-publishing as a key strategy. Okay, I have a blog post called Why Your Best Personal Branding Strategy Demands That You Publish. And I really believe, unless you are doing something to publish yourself online, you are not experiencing the power of digital networking, and most people actually don't. They are observers, they are lurkers. A true story, and I don't mean to criticize the person, I'm just saying the behavior is such, it's easier to lurk than it is to create, right? Okay, this is a true story from 3M. You know, that's a huge company. They probably have 55,000 SKUs in their product line. They run across 65 countries, 80,000 employees. They started to institute social media tools within to improve collaboration in a far-flung organization. And it was a top-down strategic initiative, and it's very contemporary with what happens. Even if you're not on Facebook and Twitter, that stuff is coming at you internally in companies. And then they sat back and they watched, and what did they see? 10% of their employees were authoring stuff, and 90% were watching. So when it comes time to get a promotion, to staff a new committee, to develop a steering group, and so forth, the people who are going to be thought of are the ones who are exposing themselves by authoring stuff. Okay, so I'm giving you a couple more specific tips from this post. And these steps are designed for people with varying abilities to commit time. I know we're all really busy. So let's say you can't blog. Let's say you have a limited time horizon. And maybe your company doesn't even have a blog. That's the first place to look to blog, is to author something on your own company's blog, because all your coworkers see it. It raises your profile internally. But if you don't have a blog, so forth, you need to find a blog where you can be a guest poster. And this is a one-off deal, one shot. You're going to do it once for the experience. You're going to be published there. And you don't have to commit long-term to, you know, going back at it every week or every month. So how are you going to find what blog is in your area, whether it's payments, whether it's IT, whether it's entrepreneurial stuff, technology starts? So here somebody has come up with alltop.com. It's a directory of blogs. It's alphabetical. I don't know if, can you see up here? It's really, really tiny, but this is A through Z up here. When you log in, I don't know, am I on E here? And then within E, you have all the terms here, and if you click through, it's going to literally down the page give you 20 to 40 blogs in the last 5 posts, and you click around and you see, hey, which blog suits my interest in what I'm writing? But I'll describe it as scribd.com. Okay, this assumes maybe you don't want to write original content, but you're writing stuff anyway for work or home. And what you're going to do is you're going to literally PDF it and upload it to Scribd.com. This is indexed by Google, and they'll find you. So for instance, in this screenshot, I put the word mobile payments right here. I went to, whoops, that was not what I wanted to do. Okay, I put the word mobile payments right here. I was going to show, for instance, I want to look for content on Scribd about mobile payments. Right? Some of you may be in that field. And it pulled up, and I didn't screenshot everything, pulled up a ton of articles, and this one here has had over 100 views. So anything you write for work, like I say, PDF it and upload it to Scribd. Now when someone types in your name on Google or even other keywords, they may pull up the piece that you have. Now you can put that in your digital signature. You're now on scribd.com/Caroline Malloy/mobile payments in the market for consumer yada, yada, yada. Okay? Okay, here's another online platform for those who are really busy. This is a new convention of online magazines that all you do is decide what topic your magazine is. In this sample, my friend was writing on social media monitoring. But you could be doing payments, you could be doing electronic payments, you could be doing technology startups, you could be doing back-end processing. Whatever are your words, you select your words, you select the language you want your magazine to be in, you select the region it draws its content, and it pulls in from the web all the original content that meets your criteria while you sip your cappuccino at Starbucks. And the fact is, once you've set it up, you can decide to publish once a week, twice a week, 2 times a day. It tweets the breaking news to your Twitter followers. This is the beauty of being somewhat involved, but being as passive as you like. And this is also discoverable by Google. After 2 months, if you published once a week, you now have 8 more original news magazines associated with you. You got to do it right in order to get the right answer. Okay, so on the left I have another one, one that I really like called Box.com. This is a really, really simple widget. All you do is if you have a bunch of PDFs, you upload them all, and then you can put that box wherever you want on the web, and people in real time can click on something and read your content. So you can put that on your LinkedIn profile. You can put that on your blog. You can put that on your signature, right? You see how you're aggregating what you've already done the work for and making it discoverable. There are many other things. You could write an ebook. You could write a Squidoo page. I just picked 4. You can look at my blog for more ideas. But now I wanted to talk to everybody in the room. And this is for the timid person who doesn't know how to get started, okay? This blog, Cheat Strong, is what I call the super simple 5-minute to 1 hour blog. Because you can see things if you are blogging yourself that you can't see when you're self-publishing elsewhere. This is a lawyer. He works about 70, 80 hours a week. I found him through digital networking, and then I discovered in the simplest way he blogs, maybe once every couple weeks on his own blog. There is no custom graphics. It is not self-hosted. It's on the WordPress hosted platform. It is not fancy. He did very little to set this up. But he is feeling the experience of self-publishing, and I'd like to encourage the person who needs to just get started. Consider this. This is as easy as pie. All you do is you pick a template and you stick it up. Okay? If writing is not your thing, there are audio equivalents of this. Blog Talk Radio is on the freemium model. You can interview somebody on the radio, on the internet radio for free, if you only want to interview somebody once a month. That's cool. But by doing it yourself, you have access to network in a way you can't when your traffic goes somewhere else. And I'd love to talk about that. That's about another hour thing. But I'll tell you a true story. I wrote a post on my blog called The Great McKinsey Hoax from someone who fell for it once, okay? So I'm always good. I can refer to myself and make fun of myself. I feel that way I don't insult you. But it was a little bit about my participation in management consulting earlier in my career. And I didn't work for McKinsey, but I watched how McKinsey was recruiting, and I said there's a bit of a hoax there. Anyway, when I looked in the traffic, I was getting hundreds of followers from a site called Reddit.com. Anyone heard of Reddit? Right? It's a referral site. So I'm like, what's there? If it wasn't my blog, I couldn't see that. You know, if I'd written that post and put it on someone else's. So I have to tell you, I've always believed get in touch with people who are your evangelizers. If he or she is sending me hundreds of followers, who's that guy? So I wrote to him on Reddit. I had the most interesting Skype call with a guy in Kuwait who had once worked for McKinsey and had a Google alert on the word McKinsey. And when he read my post, because it was pulled up in his alert, he said, that's a good thing. He sent his followers to it. So this is what's happening online. Okay, my last point about this, very important. Some of you in this room may feel like you're competitors. You're all in the same industry. I mean, industry verticals in some way, I do acknowledge you compete, right? Maybe you're all making RFPs to the same potential client, only one's going to win. But I do not believe in this digital world we should see it that way. We really are collaborators. And I'll tell you honestly, if you see people that way, you can write a better piece with 2 co-authors. You can do a better interview with 3 people thinking how it goes. And my best example, and this is for the person who's pretty far ahead. Some people here were blogging. I saw the hands go up. So I want to be sure they learn something from me too. Google Plus Hangouts. It's a new platform. It is associated with Google if you haven't been there. But its killer application is that you can video chat real time for up to 10 people. And this is absolutely a killer application. Everybody who works in a company that's far flung, do you realize this is so much better than Skype? You could be holding your meetings on Google Plus. Anyway, this woman, Catherine Morgan, was a little bit in my area and came to me and said, Diane, what do you think we hold a Google Plus Hangout for transitioning career people together? And my first question to her was, well, if it develops clients or leads, who owns the lead, you or me? And she said to me, don't worry about it. We'll figure that out when that comes, but let's do it. And I can tell you, I learned so much from that, just getting out there and doing it with her. In the month of February, we did Google Plus Hangouts. I really encourage you to think of everyone in the room as your collaborator and get out and do something. So if you're going to do this, I just wanted to give a bit of a tip. This slide here shows a little icon here that you would go to the site when you're in the Chrome browser called Hangout Canopy. You're going to download that, and it's going to put that little icon on your toolbar. And anytime you want to see what's going on a Google Plus Hangout, you just burst it open, and it shows you worldwide all the Hangouts you can join. So maybe you don't want to host it, but you want to try once. What's it like to video chat with people around the world? And this is what will pop up, something like this, literally going down your page. All the Hangouts, what it's about, how many people are on it. So I joined this one about beer brands or whatever. I'm one of the people here. Maybe I'm that person. But you ought to try it. This is what digital networking is about. Meet some cool people. Okay, now this is a different kind of step. Let me just take a moment here. Okay, this is a totally different approach, okay? So strategically, you want to be seen as an expert in the area that you're describing. You have your skills and your knowledge, right? So the web is uniquely positioned to allow you to do this like never before. It used to be, in order to be an expert, you had to be like, on a panel in front of people, say, I'm an expert, Or you go get a hardcover book publisher, you spend a couple $1,000s to publish it yourself, and you try to give away those copies. But I'm telling you, the web has changed the game. I have 2 posts on my blog. Again, I don't mean to promote myself, but I can say more on the blog than I can here. This one here, 5 shortcuts to get answers in record time. And this one here, the best of 20 crowd-sourced solutions to save your dysfunctional organization. Okay, I am honest, I'm not the expert in everything, but I am the expert in finding the answers on the web. So this came about, this post in particular, came about because a reader hit the Contact Us button and sent me a question, and this is what she said. In my company, when young people come up with a new idea, it immediately gets shot down. We tried it before, it won't work. I'd like to read something about how to institute change in an organization so that people work together and you build new processes and incorporate new ideas. Aha, good question. I don't have an answer, but I know where to go. And down here on the left are an example. These are sites on the web where you can go. LinkedIn, on the More tab, If you pull it down, at the bottom is answers. Everyone should take a look there and see what's going on. I'm going to talk more about that now, but Quora is another site, Quora.com. All of this is searchable by Google. So if you become really good at answering, actually, when your name is typed in, it may send people to where you've answered questions on Quora, for example. Another one, how many people in the audience are in IT specifically? Is there anybody really doing the technical aspects in this industry? Some people, right? Okay, this is the place for you, Stack Overflow. It is unbelievable, but this has become so popular in the IT community for questions and answers. And people actually win badges and everything, so you can see who is the most knowledgeable on technical questions, because this one's got the platinum level badge and the gold and so forth. Web Girls, this is a women's networking group. We question and answer ourselves all the time. I'm getting emails with questions. I wanted to know what was the best web hosting service in China, because I was really pissed off that my friend in Shanghai couldn't see my site. And it turned out I was hosted on GoDaddy. Wouldn't that piss you off? You're doing all this? And you know, there are a lot of people with soul-sapping jobs in China who ought to be reading my site. So I actually said to query to Web Girls, who should I use for hosting in China? And it came back a woman who had done sourcing in China and knew exactly which sites were not blocked. So anyway, I highly recommend, check it out. Also, people in this room who are in sales, it's a great lead gen tool to be answering questions in the area that your company's service or product is. It's amazing. That is why questions are getting hundreds of answers. Okay, now I have to address the big gorillas, Facebook and Twitter. I know there are a lot of people who feel like that is not important to me, or I don't like putting my dirty laundry out for everybody. Okay, I am not telling you you have to be really active. I'm telling you that you need to know what the experience is on these sites, so you can be part of the conversation when it comes up at your workplace. Okay, so we're not talking making you power users, but we are talking making you conversant, okay? So these are the things I think you need to understand about Facebook. The virality of the news feed. Why, when somebody shares to Facebook, one thing can become 1,000. And when I say share, this is what the button looks like typically. If you press share this, it bursts open and it gives you 5, 10, 20 social media platforms depending on what it's been set to. You can share to LinkedIn, you can share to Facebook, you can share to email. Then it goes into your news feed. And so, for instance, I put up, this is a friend of mine who's a Supreme Court justice in Egypt. Every day he posts pictures on his news feed. I don't always follow them. But the point is, what you put in your news feed goes to all your connections on Facebook, whether you have 200, 600, 900, whatever. And then the point is, if someone comments or hits like, it goes to all their connections in their Facebook. Now, all put in quotes, there's actually an algorithm called EdgeRank. It doesn't go to all, but we're simplifying here. How many people know the website TED.com? Raise your hand. Okay, so I'll give you an example. TED.com stands for Technology, Entertainment, and Design. They have fabulous presentations there by men and women who are both highly accomplished as well as relatively unknown. I actually use it to relax once in a while. I'll sit back, go to TED, watch a presentation. If you like a presentation and you use the share this button here, and you share it to Facebook, it will go into the news stream of quote unquote your connections. And if someone else likes it, it goes into their news stream. And that's how one becomes 1,000. Okay, now I want to be sure everyone understands and learns something. So here's something. Do you know that Facebook has secret groups? Okay, if you look down here, right, these are your basic things in Facebook. Here are your groups, your events, your apps, whatever. I'm a member of secret groups. Now I'm actually giving you my laundry because it's secret, so please do not tell everybody. But the point is, this is a screenshot of my This is a screenshot of my secret group. the purposes of which we're all bloggers and we read each other's content and we comment on it. But in the context of digital networking, I have to say my secret group has been more than a way to get comments. I've gotten to know people from different faiths, from different religions, different countries, blogging on different topics. And personally, you know, I call them up and I've gotten to know them. So in terms of networking, I have to say it's an amazing way to connect on a common interest and then expand yourself to understand who people are. Okay, now I'd like to talk a little bit about Twitter. I don't have time to go over everything you should be doing, but one of the best practices you should be following is to use hashtags. So if you're always using the automated thing called tweet this, there are no hashtags. It's hard for people to discover that. You know what the hashtag is? It's the pound sign, and then it can say pound mobile, it can say pound New York, pound follower Friday, pound creativity. Whatever is the main subject or keyword of what you're tweeting about, use that, because people then use the search tool to find who's tweeting about that. Now I wanted to show one other site for those who do use Twitter that's really useful. This is a screenshot of Followerwonk.com. This is what it looks like. And for the purposes of illustration, I put in the word payments. What you're doing here, you're not searching the Twitter stream. You're searching the bios of people who are on Twitter. So in other words, I have a Twitter handle called Mojo40Mavens, and it describes me. I'll help you in career and job search and learning and so forth and so on. And there are certain words in there. That's my bio. If you're in the payments industry and you want to know who's on Twitter to follow, you want to search the bio. And what you get output here which says where they're tweeting from, how many followers they had, how many tweets they had, and so forth. And you can see who's highly influential. I would just want to add something that's not on the slide. For those who are blogging and tweeting, raise your hand. There were people who said they were publishing. The site that you should explore is called Topsy.com, because on Topsy.com you can see who's retweeting you, and Topsy has an algorithm to mark who's highly influential, and then you can connect with them. Okay. Every day I'm checking my Twitter. I'm seeing who's mentioning me, who's interacting with me, because I might want to connect with them. You can use Twitter to answer questions. And on my blog post here called Engaging This is called Engaging C-Level Execs Who Hire. This is a true story. I was searching for a job, so I was searching on pound hiring. And I saw that Patrick Gauthier of PayPal, he's the head of market intelligence, he's really a big influencer, I'd love to meet him, was looking to hire off for Twitter for special projects. So I followed him, I direct messaged him, we connected on social media platforms, he gave me his personal mobile, and we had 2 very nice conversations. This is how to use social media to your advantage. I'd also like to say within large organizations, whether or not you're using Facebook or Twitter, it is coming at you, even smaller organizations. There are many companies out there from Jive Software to IBM to Cisco that are making more and more tools for internal communication that have Twitter-like short messages in real time, that have Facebook-like news feeds. I have a post on my blog called How Bees Do Social Enterprise, and it's about that. That's why you need to at least know what the experience is. Step number 6. This one seems very, very intuitive. Take it from online to offline. So I have to ask you, if you are thinking of dating a guy, do you want him to send you an email, or do you want him to call you up and invite you on a date, right? I mean, it's intuitive. So if you want to start to make relationships while you begin them digitally, you need to have a conversation on the phone, in person, go to an event together, and so forth. So I thought, what can I tell you about this which would be a little bit new? Here is a site I guarantee very few people in the room know about it. It's called helpareporter.com, no space between the words. And this is what the home page looks like. This side is for sources, and this side is for reporters. And everybody who's employed wants their company to get positive publicity. So this is completely separate from what you're doing on your own time. You can go on to helpareporter.com, fill out your profile on the right-hand side as a source. And you will get an email 2 to 3 times a week in the industry that you say you are, relevant to the topic you say you have expertise, of reporters who are looking for sources to quote. Wouldn't that be great if it had your name and your company's name saying something about your product, right? How do these people connect? I know this as a journalist and a blogger. Sometimes I want to write on a topic, but I don't know about it, and I want to connect with an expert. So on the right-hand side is where you can get a very simple, non-invasive email tickler. Now on the left-hand side, this is where if you're going to write something as a reporter, you can find sources. So for instance, I had a post that I want to write about being a bulldog by day and a fox at night. And it was about women in a male-dominated industry. And I was looking for women to speak to that experience. And I put up my query on reporters, and I got so many women, from the CEO of an online site and the CEO of a startup to a woman doing sports marketing to a woman who was the gunner in a platoon in Afghanistan. I'm not kidding. So how would you use this if you're not a reporter? I'll tell you how. You have a company that has a product or a service. It has a website. You've now gotten hip to the idea it should have a blog. And it's your turn to write a blog post, and you have a general idea, but you don't know what to write about. Now you're a reporter. You're going to put your query of the topic of your blog post. You're going to wait 2 days. All these people are going to write to you and say, I know that topic. I can speak to it. You set aside 1 to 3 p.m. on Thursday that you're going to call these people, have a 10-minute conversation. You're going to write your blog post. Now you have fresh, original content. It's topical, it's relevant, it's useful to your customers and clients, and everyone, you're going to send them, share the link, and they're all going to tweet it, and they're all going to be pleased they have publicity. So you see, even as a working gal, this is going to be a useful site for you. I'd like to also say, this general advice to take it online to an offline goes everywhere with you. So for instance, if you're writing people in your LinkedIn group, do not make an email which invites another email back perpetually. I mean, we're sick of that. We're done, gag, gag. Make an email after the person has responded once, which says, may I call you on Friday between 1 and 3 if you're available so we can chat, right? Take it offline. That's how I've met people, because somebody took it to the level of a conversation. Okay, from lady to lady. How can you do a presentation without chicken soup? But relationships don't take off the first or second time. Just like chicken soup, the best chicken soup simmers gently a long time. We all know that. It takes time to build a relationship. And you have to be patient. You have to also realize in a 24/7 world, if you're trying to communicate with a bigwig, that person doesn't need you. Their time is crunched. So be respectful. Write a very short email, something easy for them to write back. If your email elaborates too much, you know, they may mark it to get back to it and never get back to it. I also have to say most bigwigs do blog. And they may not even write the blog themselves. They may have a PR firm writing the blog. But if you really want to get someone's attention, put your comments in the blog at the end of the post. We are slaves to the comments. Even on the day when I'm the weariest, I'm all excited to get a comment and I read it. And just imagine if you have put 10 comments on the post of a bigwig in your industry and then you wrote an email, and he or she has seen your picture, your name, and your comment was thoughtful and extended the point. It's much more likely to write you back, right? And finally, some very basic things. Freely offer your expertise with no expectation of reciprocation. You're trying to have a back and forth conversation here, and be generous. Be generous with your expertise. I think you want to adopt a posture where you're willing to investigate new tools and trends. Everybody is time crunched, so I often say one of the best ways to investigate is to figure out who knows something and follow them and follow their pointers. I know I have done that, but this is just one example of a trend I think relevant to everyone here, gamification. So gamification has implications in the sales function, in the marketing function. If you're in charge of customer retention or loyalty, there's huge platforms now to try to gamify that relationship. It is useful for improving employee morale if you're in the hiring department or anywhere in HR. All of this is starting to use principles from gamification. So I was interested in this subject, and again, not the expert, but I knew to start investigating it. I went to an event with a man called Gabe Zickerman, who is an expert in the field, and he was so informative that I decided to write this blog post. So if this was you and you're investigating something and you're not a blogger, what can you do to improve your career and your visibility? How about at your quarterly meeting, you propose you have 10 minutes to introduce this new trend of gamification? Or fill in the blank. You know, if you get up and present something, it will make you look more expert. Okay, I do hope that I have inspired you to investigate further. Harking back to what Valerie said, I do have posts on my blog about your unique value proposition. This one is called The Oprah Guide to Your Unique Value Proposition. You see all those Santa Claus there? So even Santa Claus nowadays is not unique, right? I mean, there's a ton of them on that sidewalk. Think about that. Your unique value proposition really has to be unique. And I have a blog post here, oops, hold on 1 second, here about elevator speech to give you more ideas if you want to investigate it. But basically, I just want to encourage you and inspire you. I also have a page, mojo40.com/resources/. It's all kinds of resources. I'm not always pointing to my own stuff, trust me. I'm pointing to other stuff. But I have some very specific pointers. There's one thing, 18 fail-proof ways to keep fresh in the mind of your target. I highly recommend that, and so forth. This entire presentation adds up to this final step, which is that everyone has something they know and can teach. And we all have things that we need to explore and we need to learn. I would call that succinctly, she who knows teaches and she who doesn't learns. So just like these guys are doing, you all can teach something. You can teach it online, you can teach it at your company meeting, you can teach it at a venue, like in New York there's one called General Assembly. In Boston there's one called Intelligently. These are places where one-off you can teach a course. Teaching not only gives back to your community, but it's one of the best ways to gain exposure, to get new clients, to find freelance opportunities, and so forth. I have a post about teaching for free, but basically I think that's what I've done today, and every single one of you, I absolutely believe, are capable of it. Finally, I'd like to say that I am 110% behind the idea that give it away freely. You will be painted in a broad brush as a generous person, and as a generous person, people will want to be your evangelist and help you and send opportunities your way, send backlinks your way, and so forth. And that is how your boat will rise along with your digital network. We're open for questions.
Okay, I know we threw quite a lot at everybody this afternoon, but we really would like to hear from you. So we welcome questions. There's a microphone right here in the middle of the room. So please ask. Yay, Linda, we can count on you.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for coming, it's great. So I have a Facebook site, and all of a sudden I'm seeing so-and-so likes Target, so-and-so likes Walmart, so-and-so likes Best Buy. I don't even open those, nor do I know what to do with them. What are retailers doing with Facebook sites these days?
Yeah, I could answer that. I have a few retailer clients. Retailers are really, I think they're still in the experimental phase with Facebook and other social media sites, but we do have a number of them holding special events right on Facebook, and those special events are either designers having previews of what they're going to be showing on the runway in the next few months. You know, come to our Facebook site, you can only see it there. They're using Facebook to offer special offers and coupons. They're using it to just keep in touch from responding to questions. So that I know a number of retailers who will pose a question of the readers. We are thinking of changing our floor plan to host a new area for this type of merchandise. Give us your thinking. And they get feedback. And they really are taking that feedback very seriously. It's become a wonderful area to get that loyalty and that feedback, market research in real time. And I do think that we're still in a very experimental phase here, but there are marketing companies that are springing up to help larger companies figure this all out. And they're hiring, I mean, one of the toughest resources to find these days are experts who can guide us through what to do with Facebook from an enterprise perspective. I think we figured it out for the most part from a consumer side, but a B2B side is still very much in its infancy. So I hope that helps.
Okay, so I could use some help. So I have, the basic Facebook page. And I started that, because I needed to keep track of all my nieces and nephews and all of that. But as you take this kind of the next step, and I'm ready to do that, so I've got, there's all the family stuff that I want over here, whether it's Facebook or any of these other things. And then there's, here what I do in electronic processing, and there's all that in that community that I want to focus with and grow with. And then I also have a nonprofit that's very different. We advocate for abused children, so it's a whole different kind of messaging. And I'm struggling as I'm trying to figure out how to take this forward of how do you blend that, or do you have to keep separate like sites and accounts and all that? How do I even begin to approach that?
I know exactly what you're saying, and I will tell you there's two ways to approach it. The official Facebook policy is that you can have one personal profile, and then you can become the admin of multiple business pages which run off of that personal profile. Do you know what I mean? Does everybody in the room follow that? In other words, when you create a Facebook personal profile, you use a particular email and password. You have a personal profile. Now you can create a page for a business, for a charity, for an interest, and so forth. That's the rule. That's the way people used to do it. People like me are cheaters. And I'll tell you why. I had exactly that. I ran a charity. I was running events for teenagers. I was now connecting with people whose photos show their six-pack abs at the age of 17. That wasn't going to help me professionally, okay? So I used a different email, Diane@Mojo40. That creates a personal page. That personal page I did not publicize, but then I created a professional page for Mojo40, which pulls the RSS feed from my blog. So if you hit the like button, you might want to, but if you hit the like button on the widget on the right-hand side, you're going to a professional page that runs off an email of Mojo40. That's how I keep it separate. But when I share to Facebook, I share to my personal Yahoo-run Facebook, because that's where people are connecting with me. Does that answer your question? I'm sorry to be so technical, but that's a painful one. Many people have run into it, and I would actually say that's the way companies should go, that nobody's business Facebook page should run off of anyone's personal email. So in fact, we're all violating that policy left and right.
Mia, Valerie, and Diane, thank you. It was very informative. We are going to be taking a quick break until about 3:10. grab some refreshments, do some networking, and if you'd like to sign up for the social networking committee with Wnet, please see Ellen at the registration desk, and look forward to seeing you all back here at 3:10.